They see the strength of ladies and gentlemen, thank you for showing up today. Not just physically, I mean mentally and spiritually. Because the truth I'm about to drop is not just for your ears. It's for your destiny. Now let's get something straight from the jump. You will never save your way to wealth. Let me say that again for the folks in the back with a scarcity mindset.
We'll never save your way.
2, wealth. Saving is safe. Saving is smart. They see the saving is slow. And wealth doesn't respond to slow. Wealth responds to speed, to service, and to sales. You can't save your way to wealth. Wealth is created, not accumulated. This is one of the most powerful shifts in mind that separates the financially free from the financially stuck. Most people are taught from a young age to save money, live below their means, clip coupons, skip the coffee, and cut costs wherever possible. While these habits may help you stay out of debt, they do not lead to wealth. Saving is defensive. Creation is offensive. Saving is playing not to lose. Creation is playing to win. When people think of wealth, they often picture a mountain of money accumulated over time. They think if they work hard, a steady job, stash away 10% of their income, invest conservatively, and wait 30 or 40 years, one day they'll retire with $1 million in the bank. But what they fail to realize is that inflation erodes purchasing power, life happens faster than they plan, and compounding returns take decades to materialize. Even then, the lifestyle that wealth buys through saving is limited. You're still tied to a mindset of scarcity because your wealth is based on what's left, not what's possible. Wealth is not about hoarding money. It's about creating value in the marketplace and capturing that value through income and equity. The wealthiest people in the world did not get rich by pinching pennies. They created, they innovated, they sold ideas, solutions, systems, and services. They weren't just focused on cutting costs. They were focused on multiplying results. Let's break this down. If someone earns $50,000 a year and saves 20% of their income, they're saving now $10,000 per year. In 10 years, they'll have one of $100,000 saved, assuming no emergencies, no market losses. But if that same person learns how to generate that $1,000 in a single sale in a single day through value creation and a high impact offer, they've already made in one day what it would have taken a year of saving to achieve. That's the difference between accumulation and creation. Most people are working within a system to cap their income and make them believe that cutting costs is the only way to get ahead. But cost cutting has a floor. You can only save so much. Income generation has no ceiling. They see the strength of there is no cap on how much value you can create, how much you can sell, or how much you can scale. The real path to wealth is learning how to create something that people want, need, and are willing to pay for. And then learning how to communicate that value effectively. When you rely on saving alone, you're putting your financial future in the hands of things you can't control. Your employer, the market, the economy, interest rates. But when you shift to a creation mindset, you take ownership, you move from dependency to authority. You're no longer waiting for your next raise. You're designing your next revenue stream. You're no longer hoping for a better return. You're engineering a better result. And let's be clear, saving has its place. It's wise, responsible. It's part of stewardship, but it's not a wealth strategy. It's see the safety net, not a launch pad. The people who build true sustainable wealth through leverage, not limitation, through ideas, not just income, through expansion, not just protection. They understand that money is a tool to multiply value, and value is created, not clipped from a budget, responds to action, not hesitation. Creation is risky, yes, but so is inaction. Trying to save your way to financial freedom is like trying to win a race by walking backwards. You might move, but you're not progressing. Creation forces you forward. It challenges you to think bigger, act bolder, and operate from purpose instead of fear. Sales is the fastest path to financial freedom. It bypasses the slow, incremental steps of traditional income growth and puts control back in your hands. While most people are waiting for their next paycheck, hoping for a promotion, or relying on slow building investments, sales allows you to create cash flow on demand. It transforms your skills, your ideas, and your message into money. And not just one-time money, but scalable, repeatable income that can grow as your ability grows. Most people are trapped in a system that rewards time, not results. They trade hours for dollars and hope that if they work hard enough and long enough, they'll eventually get ahead. But time is limited. There are only so many hours in a day. Sales, on the other hand, is not bound by time. It's bound by value. The more value you communicate and deliver, the more money you can earn, regardless of how many hours you work. That's why learning to sell is one of the most powerful skills you can develop. When you sell effectively, you're not just exchanging a product for money. You're transferring belief. You're helping someone move from uncertainty to clarity. You're giving them the confidence to make a decision that benefits their life, business, or health. And because people pay for solutions, the better get at solving problems through your offers, the more you get paid. There is no limit to how many people you can help or how deeply you can serve them. Sales is also immediate. It doesn't require years of build-up like some other strategies. One call, one webinar, one presentation, one conversation, and you can close a deal that moves you financially forward in a major way. This is why so many successful entrepreneurs talk out their first big sale as the moment their mindset changed forever. That single sale proved to them that they had something of value and that people were willing to pay for it. It unlocked possibility and momentum. Another reason sales is the fastest path to financial freedom is because it teaches you how to think like an owner, not an employee. Employees wait to get paid. Owners create revenue. Employees follow instructions. Owners build systems. Sales forces you to step into that ownership role. You begin to look at every conversation, every interaction, every piece of content as an opportunity to create income and impact. You stop waiting and start initiating. The marketplace doesn't care about how long you've worked. It cares about how well you solve problems. Sales puts you in direct connection with those problems and gives you the opportunity to present the solution. It's not about manipulation. It's about clarity. It's about showing people what's possible when they say yes to the right thing. And when you do that consistently, you build a level of financial momentum that saving and budgeting alone could never provide. Most importantly, sales builds confidence. Every time you close a deal, you reinforce your own belief in your value. You stop questioning your worth. You stop doubting your voice. You begin to show up differently, with authority, with certainty, with conviction. That kind of presence is magnetic. It attracts more opportunities, more clients, and more income. It creates a feedback loop of success that compounds faster than any bank interest rate ever could. Financial freedom is not about having money in the bank. It's about having the ability to generate income whenever you need it. That ability comes from selling. It's a skill that compounds in value as you refine it. And unlike external circumstances that shift and change, your ability to sell goes with you everywhere. It becomes part of who you are, a creator, a communicator, a closer. Frugality is for survival. Selling is for scaling. There's a big difference between protecting what you have and creating something bigger. Frugality is about preservation, keeping things small, avoiding risk, and minimizing exposure. It's a defensive posture, and it makes sense when resources are limited and you're trying to stay afloat, but it's not a growth strategy. It's not how empires are built, and it's certainly not how wealth is created. Many people climb to frugality because it feels safe. It gives them a sense of control in a world that feels unpredictable. They cut back on expenses, downgrade their lifestyle, avoid opportunities that require investment, and call it being smart with money. But in reality, they're operating from fear, fear of loss, fear of failure, fear of not having enough, and fear never scales. You can't grow something meaningful if your mindset is rooted in contraction. Selling, on the other hand, is expansive. It's about taking what you know, what you've built, or what you believe in, and multiplying it by offering it to others. It's proactive. It's scalable. One sale can lead to 2, then to 10, then to 100. It doesn't shrink you. It stretches you. It forces you to think bigger, serve deeper, and build systems that go beyond your own efforts. Frugality might save you a few dollars, but selling can create thousands. People will spend hours comparing grocery prices, clipping coupons, or skipping vacations to save money. But they won't spend that same time learning how to pitch, persuade, and package their value. And that's the trade-off. You can either save money someone else created, or you can learn to create money yourself. You can only cut so many costs. There's a limit to how lean your life or business can get. At some point, you reach the floor. You can't save any more without sacrificing quality of life. But selling has no ceiling. There is no upper limit on how many people you can serve, how much value you can deliver, or how much income you can generate. That's why selling is not just a business skill. It's a life skill. It's a key to freedom. People who rely only on frugality tend to stay stuck in survival mode. They're always looking for what they can cut instead of what they can create. They spend more time reducing their budget than expanding their revenue. They operate from the assumption that resources are scarce and must be carefully rationed. And as long as that belief drives their decisions, growth will always feel risky and out of reach. Selling flips that mindset. It says, there's more than enough. It says, I don't have to shrink to survive. I can grow to thrive. It opens doors that frugality keeps locked. It puts you in a position of power rather than passivity. Instead of waiting to see what you can afford, you begin deciding what you want and finding ways to make it happen through value creation. This doesn't mean selling is easy. It requires learning, stretching, and putting yourself in situations where you might hear no. But those moments of discomfort are where transformation happens. Every conversation, every pitch, every offer you make sharpens your skill and expands your reach. Frugality never forces that kind of growth. It keeps you comfortable, and comfort rarely leads to greatness. When you embrace selling as your core strategy, you stop asking how to cut back and start asking how to build up. You stop making decisions from lack and start making them from vision. You begin to realize that money is not something to hoard. It's something to flow. And that flow begins when you step out of survival and into service through selling. Value creation through selling is the real wealth strategy. Wealth doesn't come from working more hours, cutting more costs, or hoarding cash. It comes from identifying a problem, crafting a solution, and delivering that solution through a sale. Every dollar earned in business is simply a certificate of value delivered. Money follows impact. If you want to increase your income, You have to increase your impact. And that only happens when you create value in a way that people are willing to pay for. Too many people chase money without understanding where it truly comes from. They think wealth is about accumulation, when it's actually about contribution. The marketplace rewards people who solve problems. The bigger the problem, the bigger the paycheck. People aren't paid based on time, effort, or good intentions. They're paid based on outcomes. Selling is what bridges the gap between the value you've created and the transformation your customer experiences. If you don't know how to sell what you create, you're leaving opportunity on the table. Value creation starts with understanding what people need, not what you want to build or what you think is interesting, but what genuinely solves pain. Then it requires turning that insight into a product, service, or offer that delivers results. But creation without conversion is just a hobby. Until someone says yes and makes a purchase, the value hasn't been activated. Selling activates that value and allows it to move from potential to profit. When you learn to sell, you stop chasing opportunities and start pursuing them. You can take an idea and package it into a course, a coaching program, a product, or a consulting offer. You can take your story, your experience, your expertise, and monetize it through transformation. You don't need investors, fancy credentials, or even a big following. You just need to know how to craft an offer that resonates and communicate it in a way that converts. The beauty of selling is that it's infinitely leverageable. One conversation can lead to a client who stays for years. One video can sell to thousands. One webinar can generate more income in an hour than most people earn in a month. That's the power of pairing value creation with sales. It multiplies your impact without multiplying your hours. You're no longer limited by your time. You're limited only by your skill in identifying, creating, and communicating value. Wealth becomes a natural byproduct of serving well. When you create something that solves a real problem and deliver it through sales, you're not just making money. You're earning trust. You're building a brand. You're creating equity in the form of reputation, relationships, and results. That kind of wealth goes deeper than cash. It creates long-term sustainability because it's built on real value, not hype or gimmicks. Selling also gives you feedback. It tells you if your value proposition is clear. It shows you what the market wants, what it's willing to pay for, and how your message is landing. Every yes is confirmation. Every no is refinement. And through that process, you become better, not just at business, but at listening, empathizing, communicating, and leading. This is why selling isn't something to be avoided or delegated. It's the core of the value cycle. You create value, deliver it, and you sell it. Then you use the profits to reinvest, grow, and create more value. It's a virtuous cycle of expansion. Without sales, value dies at the door. Without selling, your solution doesn't scale. It stays invisible. And invisible value doesn't build wealth. Learning to create and sell value is the most liberating financial skill you can develop. It puts you in the driver's seat. It allows you to respond to challenges with creativity instead of fear. You become the source of your income instead of being dependent on external systems or gatekeepers. You're not selling products, you're solving problems. This shift in mindset is what separates those who struggle to make sales from those who consistently create income and impact. When you focus on selling a product, you're focused on features, specs, pricing, and comparisons. But people don't buy products because of those things. They buy because they have a problem they want solved, a pain they want relieved, or a desire they want fulfilled. Your product, just the bridge. The real reason they buy is the transformation on the other side. Most people make the mistake of thinking sales is about pushing something onto someone. That's why they feel resistance or discomfort around the idea of selling. They assume it's about convincing someone to want something they don't really need. But true sales is not about convincing. It's about connecting. They see the strength of it. It's about understanding where someone is, identifying what's holding them back, and showing them how your solution gets them where they want to go. When you approach sales this way, everything changes. You stop sounding like a pitch and start sounding like a partner. You're not trying to win a debate. You're trying to offer a breakthrough. You're not selling a coaching program. You're helping someone finally overcome years of self-doubt. You're not selling a marketing service. You're helping someone rescue their business from obscurity. You're not selling a course. You're helping someone unlock a skill that could change their life. The value of what you sell isn't in the product itself. It's in what that product makes possible. It's the relief of stress, the increase in confidence, the freedom of time, the opportunity to grow. When you truly understand the problem your product solves, you can speak to it with clarity and conviction. You're not just reciting a script. They see the strength of it. You're having a real conversation. You're tapping into someone's pain, showing them that you understand, and offering them a path forward. Selling becomes service when you stop thinking about yourself and start thinking about the person in front of you. If your product can solve their problem, it's your responsibility to make the offer. It's not pushy, it's generous. The refusing to sell when you know your solution can help is not humility, it's withholding. People are walking around every day with problems they don't know how to solve. Your offer might be the very thing they've been praying for. but they'll never know if you don't present it. Solving problems through sales also elevates your confidence when your role is to help, not hustle. You show up differently. You ask better questions. You listen more deeply. You tailor your message to fit their needs instead of pushing a one-size-fits-all pitch. And because people can feel that authenticity, they respond. They trust you. They buy not just because of what you're offering, but because of the way you made them feel understood. It also creates longer lasting clients and customers. They see the strength of when someone buys because they believe your product will solve a real issue in their life, they're more committed. They show up, they do the work, they get the results. And when they get results, they tell others. This is how businesses grow, not just from marketing, but from momentum. From lives changed, problems solved, and value delivered. Every product, every service, every offer exists to solve a specific problem. When you lead with that understanding, you attract people who are ready for a solution. You create resonance instead of resistance. You stop competing on price because you're no longer a commodity. You become a necessity. People will always invest in solving pain faster, easier, or more effectively. They'll invest in clarity. They'll invest in peace of mind. They'll invest in progress. That's what they're really buying. High income follows high impact delivered through sales. Income is not just about effort or time. It's about the level of impact you create in the lives of others. If you want to increase your income, you must first increase the value you bring in the problems you solve. And that value has to be translated into sales. Impact that isn't converted into revenue remains invisible. You can have the best intentions and the most powerful solutions, but if nobody buys them, your income won't reflect your potential. Many people think they have an income problem, but what they really have is an impact problem. They haven't yet reached enough people, solved enough pain points, or positioned themselves as the solution to a meaningful issue. When you become someone who creates high impact, someone whose work moves the needle for others, money becomes a byproduct of that influence. It stops being something you chase and starts being something you attract. Sales is the mechanism that transfers impact to income. It's the moment where transformation is exchanged for transaction. The sale is not just the result of a clever pitch. They see the prank that's the proof that someone believes in a value, offer enough to invest in it. And the more lives you impact through your offers, the more income you earn, not as a fluke, but as a consistent flow. High income doesn't come from what you do. It comes from what you deliver. And when what you deliver changes people's lives, businesses, health, or mindset, sales become inevitable. This is why sales isn't about hype. They see the strength of it's not about precision. It's about knowing exactly how your offer changes someone's current reality and communicating that clearly. When you can articulate the gap between where someone is and where they want to be and position your offer as the bridge, you increase your impact. And when that impact is understood and received, income follows. They see the strength of it. There's a direct connection between how you understand your audience's pain and how powerfully you present the solution. People don't pay for effort. They pay for outcomes. If your offer helps someone save time, earn more, feel better, gain clarity, or experience peace, that's real impact. And if your messaging reflects that transformation, the sale becomes a natural next step. High income earners understand this. They don't focus on being busy. They focus on being effective. They know that one powerful sale can do more than months of behind the scenes work that never reaches the market. Creating high impact also means thinking beyond yourself. It's not just about what you want to say or what you want to build. It's about what the marketplace needs and what your ideal client is desperate to solve. When you design offers around their pain, their goals, and their language, you become relevant. And relevance is a form of impact. It's the first step to trust, and trust is the first step to consistent income. High impact comes from clarity, not complexity. You don't need 50 offers, multiple business models, or endless funnels. You need one clear solution that gets real results, presented in a way that resonates. Then you need to sell it with confidence. More focused your impact, the more scalable your income becomes. You can't scale confusion, but you can't scale transformation. Every person you help, every breakthrough you deliver, every result you facilitate adds to your impact footprint. And when you pair that with sales, your income rises to match the value you provide. This is why income is never the root goal. It's the fruit of your impact. If you want to raise your income ceiling, raise your impact level. Improve your offer, sharpen your message, deepen your understanding of your customer's pain, and close the gap with intentional selling. That's the formula high earners live by.